Hello everyone, welcome to Naomi's Bookshelf. Welcome to a different shelf view because we're gonna use this shelf a lot right now. My goal for the year was to read, I believe it was 60 nonfiction books over the course of the year. And I am at barely 25. I am filming this July 20th and I'm not very optimistic, but I am gonna change that. I'm gonna make a short list of 35 books I want to get to before the end of the year. These could be short books. These could be books I think I'll be really quick with reading, books that will just be engaging, different things I want to pick up, or books I want to kind of DNF and get rid of. We're going to try to pick 35 books. I do have 6 books already picked, which I will not show you because those are part of my TBR for August. You'll have to watch my TBR clue to see what nonfiction books I managed to get there. So I have 29 to fill the places. Of those, I know 2 of these will be, one, the talented Mrs. Mandelbaum. I don't remember the author's name. This is a nonfiction about a mobster woman in the 1880s in New York. Fantastic. I'm about 40% through, I think, and I'm excited to keep going. I also have The Woman in the Valley of the Kings. I don't remember the author either. This one is about archaeology in Egypt with women coming in as archaeologists. So that leaves us at 27 we need to pick from the shelf. I'm hopeful we can get it, at least some good ones, some variety, and we're gonna pick them together. I think I'm gonna pick out some nonfiction in regards to November's Remembrance Day because I never read books about that, so like around that time, so I probably should try to prioritize that. I think one of the books I am interested in prioritizing is The Jewish Resistance, Uprisings Against the Nazis in World War II by Paul Roland. This is a short one, which is helpful. It's not even 200 pages, and I think it will be powerful, impacting, and I can finally get it off of my current or to-read pile because this is something I probably should have read earlier. 26 to go. I think we're gonna also go with The Letters of Napoleon to Marie Louise. This is a letter collection I picked up by about Napoleon, with an introduction though by Arthur Bryant. So this is just his letters. I am very interested in Napoleon Bonaparte. I would love to read a biography about him, but I haven't found any that are looked to be accurate. If you have any good biographies about Napoleon, please leave them for me in the comments below. I would love to know so I can be on the hunt for them. I am very fascinated by Napoleon, and so I've been looking for accurate ones and none of them are there. But anyways, this is the letters collection that he wrote, and I will add this to my 35 books I need to read. So that means we're at 25 now. I think I'm also gonna go with the Jane Austen one here because I've owned for a while, haven't picked it up, and that is Jane Austen and Crime by Susannah Fullerton. This one is basically what it says. It's about Jane Austen and how crime worked in her world, different crimes that could have been committed, different illegal activities, even things that you didn't expect to be illegal activities, but are found in her books. Are interesting. So I know I was reading several things I'd probably need to restart, but yeah, it's not too long either, and that's not my stipulation. I'm just pulling for what interests me right now, and this one I'll add to my list. Going on the same vein of interests me, even though this is not small, is Crusaders by Dan Jones. This is the epic history of the war of for the Holy Lands. So this one is, it's about like the year 1100. I love Dan Jones writing books, like his historical books. I love his history things. I just haven't read, I think I've read a couple, but not a lot. So I own a few that I need to read. So let's put this on here. It's a little bit different from the rest I've picked, and we're gonna see how far we get with them. You know what's one book I should have read by now, and I have an audio? Is The Romanovs by Sebag Montefiore. This one is mammoth, but I have it on audiobook. I really should just pop it in and have that be my audiobook from now ongoing. This is just about, this is the intimate story of 20 Saras and Sarzinas, some of whom touched by genius, some by madness, but all inspired by holy autocracy, I'm not saying it right, and imperial ambition. So this is gonna be an epic history, but I'm gonna add it to the list because I've owned it for a very long time. I've heard great things, but I've never had the, I don't know, the bravery to pick it up. So this is gonna be the year. One of the things that I have been spending a lot of time in is ancient Japan right now, as I have been reading The Tale of Genji. And so I actually have this book, which is about the medieval Europe. So I feel like that's kind of comparable, not really, but kind of the same era. So it's a textbook that I picked up at Value Village. And I'm gonna see if I can knock this off of my TBR pile, read a bit more about medieval history, especially medieval Europe. And hopefully not just England, but like all of medieval Europe. That'd be really cool. Let's get some true crime in here. So this is The Suspicions of Mr. Witcher by Kate Summerscale. This one is, or Summerscale. I'm sorry. This is about a murder that happened in 1860 where the youngest son was murdered and they don't know who it was. So it's a Victorian whodunit. I might pick it up for Victober, you never know. But this is a modern work that was written about a Victorian murder. So I'll put this on. I'll also add Black Dahlia. I just acquired this from a friend who is getting rid of a bunch of books. This is by James Ellory, and this is the true crime about the infamous Hollywood murder, the Black Dahlia. So these will be added to the pile. Let's go with The House of Gucci by Sara Forden. This is also a true crime. I am not a fashionista by any standards, but I would like to read this when I picked this up at a little free library, and it would be interesting to see what happened in this story of murder, madness, glamour, and greed. So let's check it out, and hopefully I can knock it off my shelves. Another book that is a true crime, and I have started, I need to finish, is Bonnie and Clyde by Paul Schneider. I have an ebook of this, and I think it'd be worth reading. I have just never gotten far into it. It's not overly long, it's like 340 pages, but it will be interesting to read about Bonnie and Clyde and more encompassing of their story. So I can finally finish the ebook as well. Let's make things more lighthearted. I have owned this one for a while, and I should probably get it read. This is We Bought a Zoo by Benjamin Mee. I've watched the movie, but it's probably not an accurate interpretation. This is about Benjamin. This is a memoir about how he uprooted his family and bought a zoo with over 200 exotic animals. So that will be a nice lighthearted difference from the other ones I've picked. I think I will go with also another Napoleon book, which is Ambition and Desire, The Dangerous Life of Josephine Bonaparte. This is by Kate Williams. Like I said, I'm interested in Napoleon and kind of anyone who's attached to him. So this will be an interesting read. If I had thought about it, maybe I can still fit it into July for Jane Austen's Contemporaries, a book about one of them, but I don't know. My mom came home, so the shower's running, but we'll talk about what I picked. So I picked two shorter books that were on my shelves. This is The Tudor Kings and Queens, A Dynasty That Forged a Nation by Alex Woolf. I don't know, I haven't read it, so I should probably pick it up. And then For the Fun of It by Amelia Earhart, which is her memoir, which I just saw. I was looking for the last number, and it says Napoleon Bonaparte. That's why I'm interested. He always seems to be haunting all the books I read. Anyways, it's like 180 pages, and I think it's a memoir about her, so this will be interesting to add to my current pile. I have an audiobook for This Is Going to Hurt by Adam McKay. This is a doctor's memoirs about his first year, was it in I don't know, his first year on the job? I'm not sure, but I have heard it's very interesting, very telling, and since I have the audiobook, I might listen to it that way, or I might read it. But yeah, I've heard it's comedic, but also very hard at times. I've also owned this one for a while, and this is like The Hittites by O.R. Gurney. I feel like this is a textbook as well that I managed to pick up at a used bookstore. This is known from the Old Testament as one of the tribes occupying the Promised Land. The Hittites were really, in reality, a powerful neighboring kingdom, and so it's all about them. So that'll be interesting to pick up. I'll count tab and see how many I have left. I think I'm gonna pick up Unsolved Mysteries. This is True Canadian Cases by Ed Butts. This is like a short story collection of Canadian mysteries that have not been solved. So yeah, we'll try that and see if I can get through it. I know a lot about American cases, but not Canadian so much, so that'll be interesting to pick up. So 10 more to go, and I've noticed that we have a decent variety, but a lot of nonfiction, or not all nonfiction, a lot of true crime. So I'm kind of going to lean away from that. Unfortunately, most of my collection is true crime, so I'm gonna have to get creative with what I have on my shelves. I think I'll probably pick out, I'm not even sure. Maybe Victoria's Daughters would be good. This is, it's 340 pages again, but it might be interesting. It's a bit different than the rest. And it's about her and her daughters, or her daughters and where they lived, what happened. And I feel like how Victoria became the mother of Europe, or the grandmother of Europe, whatever the phrase is. These are two of my shorter books, in height-wise. So this is, I'm not gonna be able to say it right, but this is The Crown Princess of Hawaii by Nancy Webb and Jean Francis Webb. It's pretty short, under 250 pages, and it's a memoir about this princess. And then I also have the Journals of Lewis and Clark, which is their journeys across North America. So this will be interesting to read and get off my pile or my shelf, at least in the terms of unread status. So I found 3 more books to put us up to 30. We need 5 more. Actually, I know one of those 5, so I'll grab that, but these are part of the up to 30. So the first one I have is Sherlock Holmes, The Complete Guide to the World's Most Famous Detective by Nigel Cawthorne. This is about, I think, his books, but also how people have interpreted them, how they've been adapted, different things, which I think is really interesting. I also have a memoir about Pierre Poilievre. This is by Andrew Lawton, and I don't go political, but I'm supporting Pierre Poilievre. And that's okay if you don't agree with me. We're not going to argue politics. Please don't argue politics, or I will block you, because I feel like I want to have a positive channel, and I can state my opinion without being, I don't know, jumped on, essentially. The next one I have, so this is book 30, is 1177, The Year Civilization Collapsed. This is a revised and updated version by Eric H. Klein. So this is just a history of the world, and I think that will be a good variety piece to add to this. The last 5 books are actually all that I had out from the library or on my July TBR, so they should be done by the end of the month, at least the July TBR books. Anyways, let's get into what they are. The first one I have is The Persians by Lloyd Llewellyn-Jones. This is The Age of the Great Kings. I am currently reading about The Forgotten Cleopatras by Lloyd Llewellyn-Jones, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So I'm excited to have another book of his on my TBR, even if it's not an owned book. At least I'm reading nonfiction. I also have here, this is on my own TBR and my Jane Austen July TBR, so hopefully I can get it finished. This is Voices from the World of Jane Austen by Malcolm Day. I have started it. I'm about 25% in, and I'm enjoying it. I just need to finish it. So that's 22. 23 is Finding the Mother Tree, Discovering the Wisdom of the Forest by Suzanne Simard. This one is about how trees develop, how forest culture grows with all the plants and the different animals and all that. It's not my cup of tea. I wish I could enjoy it more, but I am not. And that's okay. I am just reading it for book club. We're gonna have a good discussion, and this is part of book club, is why you read books that you don't love, but you'll learn something new. So this is part of my nonfiction, and that will be done. I also have Great Love Letters of Great Men and Women. This is a collection, and I am about a third of the way through, so this will be finished soon, and I am enjoying it. And the 35th book on my TBR will be Blood, Fire, and Gold, The Story of Elizabeth I and Catherine de Mercy by Estelle Perna-Quinn. This one is about 16th century politics, which I think sounds interesting, and how these two women were, in a communication with each other and how they related to each other. So I'm excited to put this on my TBR. That is 35 books that I'm going to try to aim for, to target them, to get through them. Please leave me a comment about any of these that you would like to buddy read within this calendar year. So before 2025, I would like to have these read. So if you would like to buddy read, please let me know. Also, if you have any recommendations for ones to prioritize first, or books that I might want to swap out with something else, I'd love to know your honest opinion if they are worth the time or not worth it at all. I would really appreciate it. Also, if you gave this video a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new here, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.
in a house that I don't know.